Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. And today it's tea time, and tea is for Tolumnias. Yay! I don't know why. Well, I know why they're popular for me, but they're getting more popular amongst viewers as well. Maybe that's my fault. Guilty. I love them. Anyway, I thought we'd start off with this one. This is my only species, and this is Tolumnia europhylla. And I've picked on this one first. This has been a reliable bloomer and probably one of my oldest Tolumnias. But this is the first time it's had two spikes at the same time. Blooms in the summer, this one, and so far it's only ever bloomed once a year. And it's based on the time it takes to mature a fan. It's as simple as that. I've had this one a long time. No strapping on this mount. It's self-supporting. It replaces its roots slowly but surely, so you get older tired ones replaced by newer ones as the new fans progress. It's even off around the back of the mount, this particular one. Lovely yellow flowers on this one, quite small but normally quite a lot of them. And I've picked on this one first because you can't really talk about Tolumnias without saying one of the ways to look after them. They like good light. If you get too much light on them, they'll start turning purple. A few purple spots and tinges probably means the light's about right. So although this one isn't in the best light now, it has been. I water these in the winter when I've got cold nights about every third day. If we get a sunny day and the daytime temperatures go up, it might be every second day. But they do not get watered until that moss is totally dry. And you notice the moss isn't everywhere. When I plant these, I try and put some moss around the base, not over the base, just around it, so that they've got something that holds moisture longer than what would be 10 minutes without the moss. Obviously in the summer when I water these, they dry very fast, which they like, that's fine. But in the winter time, if I water them, I still give them a good soak and the moss gets soaking wet. But in the winter, that could still be damp the next day. And then they won't get watered until they are totally dry. And if that, I don't mind them spending a whole day dry in the winter. They're not growing much because of the lower temperatures. So good light. The best way to think of them is that they have the fastest wet-dry cycle possible, preferably daily. You might not achieve that in the winter if your temperatures are low. They don't like to get too cold. So in here, in the winter, with a minimum night temperature of 12, they do slow down a bit, because those night temperatures are a bit chilly for them. They'd prefer to be a bit warmer than that. They'll take heat, but with heat goes humidity. So if you're going to have high temperatures, you need to keep your humidity somewhere between 60 and 70% is probably ideal for these. They can take it a little bit lower, but the lower the humidity in the air, the more frequently you might have to water them. It's a balancing act. I mean, my humidity doesn't drop down much in here, although it did last year, although these survived okay with the lower humidity in the heat wave. They didn't do bad. So anyway, that's my species, Tolumnia europhylla. Reliable bloomer, although only once a year. But being a species, that's just how long it takes to mature its new fans. And it has several of those growing at the moment, two of which have decided to bloom. So that's that one out the way. Right, at Christmas I got 5 new Tolumnias from a friend at the Christmas do. They all came from the same place, Orchids diffusion, and they were in various stages. There were effectively 3 small single fans and the 2 larger ones, which I'll look at in a minute. So this is the first one. This is Tolumnia Jarak Rainbow Soft Pink, and it looks like it's going to be very attractive. Now this one had a large fan and a small one next to it, and no viable roots, just old roots. You can see at the base of the plant now we do have a little new growth coming, and we do have the start of a new root system. Okay, so that's that little one. Coming on, I've got no worries about this taking off. As the season progresses, the roots will move on, and that little new growth will produce even more new roots, because the new roots at the moment are on the little existing fan. Right, next one of the three. These are, as I say, the smaller ones, and this one is Jarrac Firm Hickory, which looks like quite a multiple coloured one. If we get there again, this was a single small fan with no active roots, just some older tired roots that are perfectly capable of hydrating it, but it has a nice new fan just starting, and with that new fan we should get some new roots, but there's no sign of them yet, so coming on. And the other one from the set, this was effectively a single fan with some strange leaves next to the base, which they weren't enough to say it was a fan, but maybe it lost some. What it's doing now is pushing up new leaves through the centre of the existing fan, so I'm not sure you could class that as a new growth. This did have some roots on it, and I can see at least one new root at the base, and that one's Jarrac Firm Brown Brush. Okay, so all three of those are a bit slow to get going, but it's not really the growing season yet, but one at least has started a new root system. Right, the next two are my rescue ones. These were virtually lost. They got attacked by scale and the base of the plants got eaten. No name on this one, but if it ever blooms again, I'll probably be able to identify it because I've saved the pictures. And what this one's doing again is it's coming into growth. Got a bit too much light at some point during the winter, went a bit purple, but you can see new green shoots. There's three effectively. One leaf's coming up the top of the fan, one's coming out part way down, and there's a tiny little brand new fan starting at the base. And this one has got a reasonable root system for the size of the plant. It's tucked its roots into all the crevices on that bark. They're not actively growing at the moment. They were last year's roots, but it should push out some new ones once those growths get going. Running out of places to put things. Right, and the other little one, which is another one of my rescues. This one has got a badge, tag, label. I'll get there in a minute. This is Jarrac Flyer Red Butterfly, and this one is recovering quite nicely. Again, it's got plenty of roots, albeit they older, tired ones, but they're there nonetheless. It has produced a few new ones on the fan round the back there, and at the front we've got one, two, possibly three, but two definite brand new fans just starting, which should generate new roots. A couple of active roots on that one, not many but some, and there should be more to come. So that's that one. That's the end of the tiddlers. And we can get on to some of the bigger stuff. Now, of the 5 new ones that I got, 2 are actually in bloom at the moment. This was a single fan with a little new growth that had a little spike coming out of it, which has since gone on to bloom, and those are attractive blooms, lovely patterning, lovely tinges, and that one is endearingly called Mo 04, which is probably not a proper name, but it's got some blooms, and it has some roots on it but no new ones. Those will come with the next new growth, which probably won't happen until those blooms finish. And the other one, completing the set of 5, is this one here. Single large fan, no active roots, but some roots nonetheless. A bit desiccated, this one. I think the fan's quite large for the root system that's trying to support it. Nonetheless, it pushed a spike out, and we do have blooms. And if that was Mo 04, then this is Mo 01, because there's 2 Mo's. Where those names come from, I don't know. But nonetheless, very attractive blooms, but not like on the picture. On the picture, we've got those pale tinges around the edges. On the actual blooms, they're not there. And quite honestly, I'm happy with the blooms the way they are. That deep, rich red is well worth having around. So that's the 5 newer ones. And then over here, we have the rest of mine that I've had a while. Now this one is Black Magic, Sharrock Flyer Black Magic. Latest growth on here, rather an odd shape. It doesn't seem to have a centre to it, but nonetheless produced some roots and has a nice spike that will be open in the next couple of days, I would say. The spike's coming on quite nicely. The oldest fan on that is dying back. There are a couple of active roots in the back there, and round the front as well. Aerial at the moment, but they'll push on. They'll reach down either onto the mount or into the moss. So blooms on that one to come soon. What else have we got? We've got this one over here, and this hasn't got a tag on it, so when the blooms open we might get that sorted out. I've missed one over there as well. This one seems to have grown in various directions. It has a lovely new growth coming out at the side there, which is alongside the latest fan that currently has a bloom on it, or has a spike on it, sorry. And it also headed off in the other direction and produced a very small fan, followed by a slightly larger one, which also has a spike. So I've got two spikes on this one coming on. And when that blooms, we should be able to sort out what it's called. Some active roots growing now from the latest fans, and not a bad root system. It's, again, tucked its roots into all the crevices on the bark. So two spikes, one of which is going to open shortly on that one. And then this one, that doesn't look like the best plant, but currently has three spikes. Not that close to opening at the moment. This spike over there to the right, that will be the first to open because the buds are swelling nicely. The smaller one will be a while, and the other one will be in between the two. But between the three of them we should have a good number of blooms on that. And the largest, most strongest fan that this one's ever grown decided to head for the ground and point directly downwards. Well, that's what it did, but it bloomed, so which direction it grows in I really don't mind. And the other fans near the top of the plant of what have produced the other two spikes on there. Again, roots heading off in all directions, tucking into the crevices. Some are active, currently active. There'll be new ones still to come from the other fans. So yeah, three spikes on the same plant. I haven't had that before. And the one I missed, basically because I bypassed it, was the other one that's actually in bloom. This is the one with the oh no, this is Tolumnia Peach. Now where is it? Where's it gone? Oh, sorry, I've just worked out what one of the other ones is by picking this one up. If this is Tolumnia Peach, then one of the other ones is going to be the Golden Sunray. We'll work it out when the blooms come. But Tolumnia Peach I've had some time. I got this at the RHS show, and this is a nice root system because this shows what a Tolumnia ought to do. It ought to just basically push out masses of roots from new fans, grab hold of the bark, make a good firm attachment, and once it gets itself into that state, it seems to start growing a lot faster. I mean, I've got probably 4 new fans on this plant at various stages. Some just starting, like that one there, just starting there, yeah. And this fan here, which is the one that's got the spike on it with the blooms on at the moment, and that's Tolumnia Peach. That's still probably one of my favourite actual blooms. They're just very nice colours, and a branch down the bottom on that one, so that will continue. Yeah, so that's my Tolumnia collection, in various stages of growth or not, as the case may be. But as I've always said with Tolumnias, if you're thinking about what to pot them in, change your mind and think about what you're going to pot them on. They don't like their roots buried. You know, media needs to be able to dry incredibly fast. So you could grow them in large bark, but it would need to dry fast and not hold the water for any length of time. You can grow them in an empty pot, tiny little clay pot. They'll clamber all over the pot and grab hold of it. Little plastic mesh basket, they'll grow on that. They'll grow in a little pot with one lump of lava rock or two, or some stones or something. But what they don't like is for their roots to stay wet for any length of time. And as I said, if you can achieve a daily wet-dry cycle, they're in their element, because that's how they grow. They get their moisture from early morning dew every day. And in the wild, they're twig epiphytes. They grow on twigs. They don't grow in anything. You very rarely find them on a mossy branch. They're just on twigs, and if you do find them on the branch, it's off a smaller branch. It's often just a bare branch. You very rarely find Tolumnia roots in anything. And I compromise by having some moss around the plant. Otherwise, with the heat I get in here, I'd have to water them more frequently. So I've got a halfway house. So plenty of blooms to come. Buds and spikes all over the place. Yeah, so more to come. And currently I've got 3 actually open. So quite honestly, that's not a huge collection of Tolumnias, but with that number of Tolumnias, once these younger plants get going, there's no reason why I shouldn't have some in bloom continuously. They don't have a season. My species one does, yes, but once you get into the hybrids, they don't really have a season. Once they're blooming size, which they can get to quite quick, even from a young plant, once they get to that size, they should reliably bloom as each new fan matures. Some of them need the fan to mature completely before the spike starts, and some of them push the spike out on quite a young growth, and then as the spike progresses, so does the growth. In other words, they're spiking on an immature growth. So all those sort of stages represented here. And they're pretty easy going, quite honestly. They don't like dry air, but then no orchids do. They don't like too much shade. Chances are they either won't bloom or bloom poorly, so they need good light. And they like a reasonable humidity. They don't need it excessively high, but like I say, they don't like dry air. And the higher your humidity is, the more you have to watch your watering. Yeah? So in here, certainly in the winter with the cooler temperatures, shorter days and all that stuff, their watering frequency is down to about every 3rd day, sometimes even 4 days. Come the growing season, like now, at the moment it's every 2nd day until we get some sunshine. If I get sunshine and the heat builds up in here, then it's got to go to daily, otherwise they'll start dehydrating. So relatively easy if you've got the time to spare, with the bare roots on the mounts or whatever sort of pot you've potted them on. Mustn't say in. Anyway, see you next time. Quick update with the Tolumnias. Tea time.